And so I needed these photos taken. Now look, I didn't ask my mum to take the photos.
That's exactly what I thought you were going to say.
No, but I don't know why I thought the best place to take the photos would be in the garden. So I said, like my friend Callum, thanks Callum, came round. We had a big pump on of the muscles, nothing else.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the How I Failed in Business podcast, the podcast that isn't afraid to shy away from its mistakes, as we join leaders in their industry and business owners to dive into the mistakes that they've made in business and why they're not ashamed that they did. Today, we've got a guest on, a very special guest. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Hello.
And as always, it's me, Sophia, and
me, Rob Spence, the Manager and Director of Paragon Sales Solutions. I think I'm a bit gobsmacked because that was like a really good intro. That was like so much better than what I've ever done. So
yeah, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah,
Okay, so Lisa, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that's a very broad question.
Oh yeah, which one there?
start from the top.
Yeah.
Want to know everything, including your favourite restaurants.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm Lisa Tennant. I'm the owner of L.T VA Services and a new company called Flex Outsourced Business Support. And we provide virtual assistants to business owners that want to free up their time so that they can concentrate on growing their business. And CorpFlex provides project coordination and business operations support to larger organisations.
Amazing. You've said that all with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
How's business? All
It's
good?
good. It's obviously we're in our third year this year, so it's still fairly new. And with any new business, it has its ups and downs. Very busy because you're trying to grow the business and put yourself out there, you know, networking and all those kind of things. But it's exciting. I do love a challenge, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's very challenging sometimes.
It
But
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, and I've got a really lovely team as well, so I'm really lucky. And we've got great clients so far, so we're doing something right. But yeah, and I work from home at the moment. I chose to do this so that one, I could help people in the situation I was in my first business, and also so that I could travel whenever I wanted to. And so we've done that. We've done a fair bit of travelling. We've homeschooled our children. We've travelled 5 months around Southeast Asia. We've had an amazing time. So if I can encourage other business owners to, you know, free up their time so that they can live their best lives, then I've done something right.
Absolutely. I remember like last time we spoke, I completely forgot about this. We were on a Zoom call. I think at the time, if memory serves me right, and please correct me if I'm wrong, something was happening to your house. You might have been having some renovations done to your house potentially, and you were in a cafe. Is that right?
I was in a cafe. Yeah, we were. I was in a cafe.
You had a lovely
that.
piece of art over your right-hand
Yes,
shoulder,
right,
left-hand
yeah.
shoulder, and I remember commenting on it.
That's right. No, actually, I wasn't. I was living in a static caravan.
That's right. Yes.
And the Wi-Fi was poor, and that's because we're originally from Birmingham. We've got a house in Birmingham, so we put that house on Airbnb and moved into a static caravan in the Peak District so that we could free up our money to then go travelling. So that was the reason for that. We're in a house now, Rob, so...
No qualms with static caravans or any kind of caravan.
I loved it,
really.
to be honest, but my two boys outgrew the caravan, so
Yeah.
we've had to give them actual real life-size bedrooms.
100%. You're a fan of travelling as well?
I'm a big fan of travelling, a big fan. In fact, my ears peaked up as soon as you said that you'd managed to find a way to do it. I think that's so incredible as a business owner to still not want to sacrifice anything in your personal life that gives you joy. I think that's
absolutely
brilliant.
Just don't get any ideas. You cannot.
So one-way ticket.
You can work remotely, right?
No, not allowed. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Work.
No. It is.
Never allowed to leave. I thought you had a question. Sorry. So obviously, I know you're doing some great stuff, and we've been connected for a long time. But there's a story behind all of this, and I want to explore. Is it Laundry Ladies?
Yeah.
I think it was the first.
What a great name.
Business venture.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about Laundry Ladies.
So I started Laundry Ladies. It was actually called Laundry Lisa's to begin with, and then I thought, well, that was terrible, so I changed it to an even worse name. That was back in 2004. Originally, I started just doing people's ironing because I was in a really low-paid job. Didn't realise it was so low-paid at the time. I worked in a school doing the admin side of things and the PA side of things there. And I thought, well, I'd split up with my partner. I'd moved into my own house and I needed extra money. So I started this as a way to earn extra money. But I'm entrepreneurial minded, so everything has to be bigger, and I have to go and another step forward. So, well, how else could I grow this? In the end, it became quite a big company, and we did commercial and domestic services. It branched out into dry cleaning, and we niched out into the wedding industry. So we were able to provide the laundry and ironing services for wedding suppliers who supply tablecloths and chair covers. And these were the chair covers that aren't the stretchy ones, they're the proper ones. So we were the only ones doing it at the time. So we.
Sorry, what's wrong with the stretchy ones?
Well, nothing's wrong with them.
Oh,
They're
okay.
convenient. But the other one, the cotton ones are prettier, really.
Okay,
so
right, yeah.
They're cotton.
So I didn't know if we were going to kick off like a big fight with stretchy.
No. They're lovely. You can get them. So no, we did that, and then I ended up having a big, massive L.T. I think it's an L.T VW van that I loved. I had it converted in the back so we could hang all of the chair covers up. So I drive all over the West Midlands doing all of the deliveries and collections and whatever. But therein lies the problem that I did everything literally myself. So yeah, it was great because I was able to quit my job and just work on that business solely, and I had that for 10 years before I sold it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, that's my journey.
So you mentioned there, sorry if I'm taking over again, sorry, peeking so many questions. Because I read on your bio on LinkedIn earlier about, I know with what you're doing now, it's all about trying to stop people making mistakes and so on. And you kind of alluded to some little bits about that journey. So what kind of mistakes were you faced with, if you don't mind me asking, sort of during that time?
So all of the pitfalls I think new business owners make, are so many mistakes really. Being knocked down on price, that was one of the ones that I struggled with to begin with, because I was in my early 20s. Didn't really have that confidence or business acumen, and then you were desperate for a sale, you're desperate for someone to buy from you. So I would often allow them to negotiate, down on price. That changed over time, of course, but that was my first really early mistake. I'd say my biggest mistake was that I just didn't get help. I did try to do everything myself, and you don't realise at the time that you can't grow like that. There's no, you have a ceiling, that you're going to hit that ceiling at some point. But I couldn't really see that, and I literally worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 years. If I went on holiday, it could only be for a week because I was scared that I might lose customers. And even when I was on holiday, I would take calls or answer emails, so you was never really away from it. And so yeah, I made all those mistakes. And then when I did get desperate enough to ask for help, I asked the wrong people. So family members, which I think is a big mistake. They're not really, the right people for the job, and then it's awkward when you've got to sack them or, tell them they're doing a rubbish job of it. So that was a lot of, learning. But actually, I got a Prince's Trust grant, £5,000, and I didn't use it the way I should have used it because, again, I wasn't in that position.
Did you spend it on holidays?
No, I didn't spend it on holidays. I spent it on keeping afloat, but it was meant to be invested in taking on a unit and all of the equipment that we needed. But I couldn't do that anyway because there was still only just me, just little old me trying to do everything. So I thought, well, it'll be okay. I'll carry on doing it as I am, which was from my house, and trying to do commercial laundry from your house. I wasn't outsourcing anything. Is quite a mean feat. But yeah, eventually that changed, and I had a workshop built and all of this kind of stuff, and I did start to outsource, but to companies that could do some of the work that I couldn't do. But I still tried. I literally did the emails, the phone calls, the delivery driving, and the ironing and the washing.
Wow.
Which was ridiculous when I look back on it now. Big mistake.
Wow. A woman wearing many hats.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. And I won the tax returns at the end of every year as well, which always happened on January the 30th. And, I was always panicking and crying about it. But I think lots of business owners do that. They try to do it all themselves and make that mistake, or they take on the wrong people because they're friends or family and they know them. Because stepping outside of your comfort zone and taking on new people, it's quite a scary thing to do. So, yeah, they were some of my big mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you raised some of those points because we say this all the time, and Molly will know, and of course Sophia, of course. There is an illusion, I think, that business owners should just know everything and should just literally day one of business. Here's the business manual. you should know what to do, how to do it, who to speak to. But there's not, is it? There is a lot of learning as you go along.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Like this time around, I feel so much. I know a lot more. I've run a business before, but also I've gone on a learning journey. So any courses, anything at all that you can invest in your own personal development, I've just been doing that for the last couple of years. And there's always something new to learn. Always. You don't ever know it all. So I think it's, I didn't do any of that before. And back then there was no social media or Facebook or anything like that. So marketing, that was all about leaflets through doors and that kind of thing. So
Yellow Pages.
I did something right though, because I still get phone calls today asking people calling me today asking me if I could pick up their dry cleaning or whatever. I actually had a call this morning from one of those sales companies. Is this Laundry Ladies? No, sorry, that business shut down in 2014. So I must have done something with the marketing right there, because it's the inquiries are still coming in.
How did you cope with it though? Because obviously laundry is a very horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. I think, and I have massive.
It's the business.
I have massive panic attack. Well, not massive panic. That's an overstatement. But do you ever watch like Downton Abbey or like any of these period dramas? And you've got the maids like folding like, all these big piles of laundry. It just scares the hell out of me, because I think I'm like too much of a perfect. Am I just being stupid, or is that like a thing?
No, I think widely it's known that laundry maybe perhaps not the most fun thing.
It's not fun at all.
No.
It's not fun at all.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not something I woke up in the morning, desperate to do. But that wasn't why I was doing it. It was the business. It was having something that was mine, and and that I was proud of, and I put myself forward for an award. It was a sustainability award, and I was up against really big companies. I didn't realise I'd entered an award that was really for big companies, and it was just me. And they were so impressed. They gave me a commendation for what we were trying to do to keep to be green, and that was quite new at the time. It wasn't like it is today.
Yeah.
So I think I've totally lost my train of thought now on what you were talking about.
I suppose
how
it's very nice.
Laundry.
It's a very tangible thing to know if you've done well or not with something that
no matter what it is.
So physical. Something that you've alluded to a bit today, and something that I've seen that you've got a real interest in, is the importance of delegating your work. You said now this was completely your business, and now you've shifted almost completely to where you're taking that burden off of other people. So do you think not delegating was a failure in your previous
That was
business?
the biggest failure, because there was no way I could grow. You just can't, unless you've got a team around you. If you're a freelancer and you're happy to get a certain amount of clients and you take a wage, brilliant, that's great, and it's a great business model. But if you're looking to scale your business, you just simply cannot do it. Tell me a business owner who's done it alone, Richard Branson or whatever. They haven't done it alone. You cannot do it alone. It's impossible. So I didn't realise that at the time, and thought, I think business owners tend to think if they don't delegate, they can keep the money. But actually, you need to spend that money to be able to grow, and it's a really hard concept to get across to people. And I see all the time people making that mistake. We get calls, obviously, doing what we do now. We're all about delegation, but we get those calls, and they're still frightened like I was. It's mainly fear that stands in the way. And if I could just get people to understand the benefits. Now, I love it. I've got my own assistant. I don't do any of the sales calls. I've got my own account manager. As soon as I could step away from those roles, I did. And we've been able to grow much quicker than I ever would have done, without doing that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
What was the first task that you outsourced during Laundry Ladies?
It was during Laundry Ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't think I ever outsourced. Okay, so what happened was... I was pregnant, and we were, probably in our 8th year by this point, and I was still driving around, 7 months pregnant in the van, with heels on, can't wear them now, delivering all these...
You've got heels on now, haven't you?
I have now, but that's just for a special occasion. We've been on your podcast. And we found out that it was, we'd had IVF, and we found out that our son was probably not going to make it. So... they didn't know why at the time. We later found out he had a rare condition, and he's fine now.
Yeah.
But there was going to be a fight if he was going to make it. So I knew I had to do something. And I don't know why I thought I was going to go full term and still be driving that van, but I did. So we started to sit down and interview people, and I took on my first employee which was a van driver. That was the first thing I needed somebody to take over the deliveries because my appointments had, I was seeing doctors all the time. And then I took on subcontractors, so just women that needed a job, and they were working from home. So the driver would then deliver all of the laundry to their houses where they would do them. But then we took on a laundrette who did our more commercial side. So we had hotels at the time as well. So the laundrette would take that on. And actually, I was still working from home. So we had our entryway where the driver had a key, and we had a clocking in. I brought a clocking in machine, so he'd use the clocking in machine to clock in and out. So it was all done very, with insurance and everything. It was all done properly. But I was able to take a massive step back then, which was thankful because my son spent 3 months in intensive care. So, and to be honest, I still was very much in the business. The night before my C-section, I was on my computer, and when I had a C-section, you're not supposed to drive for 6 weeks, but I was back in the car a week later because I needed to be up and down the hospital, and I was still back at the house organising the work and the shifts and all of that kind of thing. So I still didn't fully step out of it, but I did finally delegate. And when I did, I made more money. And I think it's just because I could stand back and understand where the business was going and see what I needed to do. And I wasn't able to do that before because I was just so stuck in it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's so important, isn't it? And we say this a lot. Like, I think the more you can empower everyone within your team, whether that's outsourced, they're still team members in my opinion, or whether they're in your kind of business and within your brand. Like, if you can empower those people to help grow, it's the Flubber effect.
Love the Flubber effect.
You have not seen Flubber?
No,
have you?
I haven't.
Have you seen Flubber? No. Ria? Have you? Is it just?
It must be an age. But you're younger than me, so I don't get it.
Well, apparently I'm 37. when did Flubber come out then? Because that was like early
90s. Yeah.
Put simply, right? Flubber is it was a green ball of flub.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I think it is on Disney Plus or Prime. I did see it the other day. There you go. Yeah, so
recommended viewing.
Oh, 100%. All the business lessons you need in life is in that film. Right?
I've heard about the Flubber effect. I love it. It's a good concept, Rob.
The more you feed into it, the more you can get out.
Yeah.
So has all that kind of led you to the motivation to what you do now then, by the sound things?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what happened was when COVID came, after I sold my business, I sold it in 2014. Actually, that's not quite true. This is what happened. I thought, well, what I could do is I could sell most of it and keep some of it for myself because I wasn't quite ready to let go. So I had service departments in Birmingham at the time that we were contracted to. So I thought, well, if I keep them and sell the rest, then that'd be a nice little bit of income. And it was great. It worked, brilliant. And then they opened another chain and wanted me to do it, and I was like, I can't do that. I've got a 2-year-old running around now, so I sold it. So I sold it twice, effectively. But not like any dodgy dealings or anything like that. And then I started volunteering for a while. I thought, I just want to keep busy. And there was a community hall local to me, and I started volunteering. But as I say, I tend to turn things into business opportunities all the time. So I ended up becoming the manager, and I ended up managing the staff. But they never had a manager before, but they saw what I was doing and they wanted me to manage it. So I managed the hall, I managed the staff, managed all the hirers, got it through COVID. Then we took on the bar, turned it into it's a charity, by the way, but I turned it into a profit-making business. So we had to pour all the money back in, and I did that for 8 years. And then when COVID came and we were in the September lockdown, I was furloughed, but still technically having to do a lot, and thought, well, what do I really want? What do I really want to do with my life? What will make me really happy? And I thought about travelling, because I think travelling's a great way to live your life and leave a lasting memory with your kids and all that kind of thing.
Any ideas?
And then I thought, I'd never heard of virtual assistants before, but I came across it because I knew I'd need to do a job I could do anywhere. And I thought, well, I could do that. I've got my MVQ in business admin, and I've run business. I've done all this stuff before. But then I also felt, I don't know, it was really connected to it because I'd been in that place of, business owner, not having any help. If I'd have known about that at the time, I think it would have been easier to take on somebody and say, actually, can you take over doing all my emails and this kind of thing? So I started doing it for the first year. I wanted to build up my experience freelancing, but I always knew I was going to open an app, because obviously you know what I'm like by now. It's got to be bigger than that. So I thought, well, I'm going to open my own agency, because the agency I'd been working for didn't really pay a fair fee, and I wanted to pay people fairly. So that's what I've done, and I opened up in 2017. Was it? No, 2021. Don't know why I said that. And we've got now 9 people on board at the moment, but we have a database of vetted associates. So whenever we get a client that comes to us, if we need specialised skills or whatever, we've got them ready to go as well. But I just love that we can help people in the way that I didn't get that help. So they come, and we had a client yesterday. She runs a magazine in Derbyshire, and she's been trying to get this client for a while, and we're doing her telephone answering for her at the moment. One of our associates is, and she got this client through our associate because of how polite she was and whatever, and she just didn't have the time anymore to try to manage that and the phone calls. And it's just a great feeling when you can really help another business owner. So I just love it for that reason, and of course I can do it wherever I can, whenever I want to, really.
Yeah,
which is lovely.
Absolutely. We'll probably pause there for a few words from our sponsors, and then we'll crack on. So stay tuned, more to come after this. So Sophia, who are Paragon Sales Solutions?
Paragon Sales Solutions are a sales and marketing agency. We help boost sales for all industries, tackling telesales, digital marketing, social media handling, call answering, giving you more time to focus on the things in business that can help you grow and will make the sales.
That sounds incredible. How can people get in touch with Paragon Sales Solutions?
You can find us online at www.paragonsalessolutions.co.uk.
I think it's .co.uk.
Oh, and they can find us on socials under the same name, Paragon Sales Solutions.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So Lisa, obviously we spoke a lot about laundry ladies in the past there, and it still surprised me that you've only been going sort of 3.5 years or whatever it is. It seems that you're very well established and doing some great stuff. What mistakes have you made this time around?
I've tried not to make many, but I think I did make a mistake recently, actually. Where
it wasn't coming on this podcast, was it? No.
I've always said, don't employ family members. I think it's a big mistake, and I went against my own advice because your emotions and your heart gets in the way sometimes. And let's just say that didn't go well.
Oh, okay.
So
are we not allowed to probe any further?
Can't probe any further. But I would just say, be really mindful of who you take on the right people. It's easy to go to someone because they're familiar, but it's not. If it's not the right person, you're not going to get the right results, and it's just going to cost you in the long term. So I'd say that's my biggest mistake to date, because I think I've learned so much in the first business. I've really tried not to make those kind of mistakes. I'm definitely more shrewd than I was before. No negotiation on price, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The only mistakes I would say, apart from that, is the way we were bringing in associates, because you learn and you have to change, you have to adapt and change. And we were taking CVs and vetting them through CVs, and then, which is actually in the VA community frowned upon, because they're freelancers and not, why are you asking me for a CV? Well, I didn't know that at the time. And then we were like, yeah, they look great on paper, and then having a phone call and then putting them in. And we got a couple, I'd say only 2, probably one that was worse than the other, that actually couldn't do what they said they could do on the tin. So it's all, fabricated, and then you've matched them with a client and it hasn't gone well, and then you've lost that client. So that's happened to me once, which was unfortunate. But the reason I lost the client was I'm a massive believer on honesty and integrity. So I went to the client and told them what was going on, because I just don't like that kind of, shadiness. I just think that's just who I am. And so I learnt from that, and we implemented a brand new vetting procedure. So they have to go through quite a stringent process now. It's so stringent that we struggle to get people through. But it's been worth it, because the people we've got now are absolutely fantastic. I mean, they really are amazing.
Well, they still represent you, so you've got to...
Exactly, yeah.
Got to make sure. I've been through that process myself. So I used to be a VA.
Right.
Used to be a special VA.
Oh. Not just any old VA.
No, I was it wasn't even VA, a PA, really.
Yeah.
So not many people know this. You know this. Not many people know this. And it's shocking just because of my current form. But I used to be a naked butler.
Oh, I think I've seen this on a post. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. I was going to plan another one soon, just to remind people what I used to look like before I was 37.
I'm going to live like that.
No, never. But obviously that was the same because we were all self-employed,
Yeah.
but we still had to represent the company. Because I wasn't one of these like shady butlers, cheap, 10 quid. We were we were butlers in the buff, so we were like the best of the best.
I've took on a butler in the buff before.
Oh, I bet you have. We need to explore. Tell me his name, and I bet you I know him. But we went through the same thing, and it was a really weird, awkward vetting phase because obviously you have to send off some photos. Sent off some photos, and which is awkward anyway. And it was made even more awkward because at the time, I don't know why I'm sharing this. I'm oversharing as always. But I was actually I'd come out of a relationship, so I was living at home with my mum. And so I needed these photos taken. Now, look, I didn't ask my mum to take the photos.
That's exactly what I thought you were going to say.
No, but I don't know why I thought the best place to take the photos would be in the garden. I said, like my friend Callum, thanks Callum, came round. We had a big pump on of the muscles, nothing else, and you went in the garden. So you take all the photos, you send them off, send your application off. And then I remember you have to go on, at the time, because Zoom wasn't really a thing, we went on a Skype call with Will, who was the director. So he's got your application, he's looking at all your photos, and you're on video with this guy, and you're just chatting, and then it just gets to an awkward phase of, right, you need to take your top off now, Rob. And once again, I'm at my mum's house, and I had to say before, like, Mum, just don't come in for like 15 minutes, because like you are going to see some weird stuff. But in the end, do you know what won him over, actually? Was magic.
Not your awesome pecs.
No, they let me down. Because he said, give me one reason why we should take you on. I said, well, I'm going to do a magic trick, and if I can fool and trick you, you're going to have to take me on. And he did it, and I tricked him, and he took me on. So, anyway, getting back to the vetting process, but it's important because we were going out representing this high-end company. We couldn't just be shoddy, overweight, people or whatever, which there was some great... Who was the name of the butler you worked with?
I can't remember.
Yes, you can.
I can't, honestly. And I had a butler when I got married, I had my hen doing my
That's where I recognise you. No, I'm joking.
And they got me a butler in the buff, and we were so hungover. And he was feeding me bananas and all sorts. I was like, I'm not ready for this. But it's good fun, butler in the buff.
Oh, yeah.
I can totally picture you like that now, Rob.
Please don't, it's very unprofessional. But those are the days. But yeah, so a lot of my work actually weirdly was in Birmingham.
Oh, was it?
Weirdly, so walkabout on Broad Street, up and down in the basement there. Rocking
I can't remember who we had. It was we got it in a private room in a hotel, and it was just me and him in the room for ages because everyone else was in the other room. And I thought,
in a hotel as well. At least you knew how to clean the sheets. I'll let you take over now, Sophia. I think I've said far too much.
Should we pull back perhaps to business?
Probably best.
Yeah, it's going down the road, isn't it? This.
It's always my fault. It's always my fault.
It is. So, you've spoken really quite remarkably about how you turned a mistake that you identified in your previous business and created, with your new business, kind of the solution to that problem.
Yeah.
But in terms of mistakes that you think people might be making now in your current sector, what do you think are the main mistakes that other directors dealing with sort of virtual assistants are making? Are there any main ones that you sort of identify?
Not enough VAs go networking. So they sit, it's a remote job, and they think that's a lot. I'm not saying that in a general way, a lot of VAs think that, it's about putting out a website. And I'm on forums, so I see all the time, well, I've started my website and no customers are coming in. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether it's a VA or any other business, it's graft. You've got to get out there. You've got to be... I network all the time. I'm like a networking tart, to be honest with you. So I'm out there all the time.
There's a soundbite, if ever I've heard one.
A networking tart. And I don't ever really see VAs networking. And I think, well, it's good for me, but you should be out there, you should be putting yourself out there. It's scary, but you've got to step outside your comfort zone. And it's doing things that I think they probably don't realise their worth in a way. So I'll speak if I have to. I hate doing it, but I do speak at events and I'll give talks and things like that. And it's taking your knowledge and sharing it, giving that value to other people, and really being a leader in your field, and showing people in other ways why they should choose to work with you. And I think, VAs often don't realise that they are actually running businesses. This is your business. And so you're not just a freelancer, this is, if you want to get out there, having a website is not going to bring you anything at all. It's just a shop front. It's just somewhere to send people to, but that's not where they're going to come from. Not unless you're doing something really good and paying a lot of money on Google Ads. So it's about that really. And I think I see a lot of them make mistake, and paying for coaches, and I'm using air quotes, that have got no experience in doing that, in running a business or being a VA. And I don't mean business coaching in general. I mean the ones that are saying they are explicitly for VAs. I see a lot of that going on as well. So I think it doesn't matter where you come from. You've all got to we all make those mistakes, but it's what you do that matters with them really. And I think VAs, I think they tend to undersell themselves, because you end up running people's businesses. You really do end up. You start off, with something small, and you literally build that trust, and that business owner leaves you to run that business more or less. So it's massive. It's a massive, thing to invest in, and you can really propel your business forward. So I'm giving you the hard sell now.
No, we're sold. Where do we
sign up? I'll get
yeah. 100%. It is a tough job. One of the first things we outsourced was, oddly enough, as a weird time it is, she came in the office today with her little daughter. One of the first sort of major sort of outsourcing routes we went down was, I had a PA for a while, so it's slightly different obviously to the VA kind of side of things. But, she had access to my bank accounts, my personal bank accounts, my business personal accounts. She was the first person within the business to see my personal diary, to know my ins and outs, my whereabouts, everything. So for a business owner, you suddenly feel, obviously I should be used to it by now, naked.
Yeah.
You feel very vulnerable and open, but it saved so much of my time to
absolutely
allow me to grow the business.
And that's the fear that you just said it, exactly what we hear. So when people are on the calls to us, they're desperate, they've got to that point, but sometimes even then they don't commit, and that's because of that fear of, I've got to share all of this personal. We have people who say, yeah, that's fine, and they sign up, and then you'll say, well, but we need your login details, and the fear kicks in, and it's like, well, we have to get past that barrier, and we have to build up that trust, because it's the only way we're going to move forward. And the other one is, a lot of people, they don't know where to start. So they'll be like, well, I know I need all this help, but I don't know how to articulate it, and I don't know how to give it to you. And so they just stop and don't do anything with it. And I just say, have an hour, have an accountability call, sit down with your, VAPA, wherever it is, and just give them that information that they need there and then on the call, and talk it through with them, that get them to help you, And I do that often. I have clients that say, can we just have a brain dump and tell me what you can and can't help with? And that's the best way to do it.
I like that.
Just get started.
Am I allowed to ask, what's the funniest task you or any of your team had to do for a managing director?
Oh God, we've had so many weird and wonderful things.
Oh, give us them all.
I can't. You're putting me on the spot now. There was once where we had to help someone with a sex shop. So it was like doing a little bit of marketing for a sex shop.
Oh, that's all okay. That marketing for it's
so
fine.
That's all right. And then the weird one, I can't go into too much detail.
That's fine.
But it was actually a client of mine, and it wasn't for my company. This was when I was freelancing. And she was a princess from another country, right? And so this has come through a very legitimate, agency, and they rank, at the top of the search engines. And she'd come through, and she was on transfer to a university in the UK from her country. And you couldn't really find her on Google or anything like that, but it was coming up to graduation time. And she wanted, her mum and dad were going to be flown over, and they were the king and queen of her country. And honestly, it sounds ridiculous, but at the time it was highly believable, because she'd gone through this company, And she wanted an armoured vehicle for the day, photographers, the Marriott Hotel to do the graduation ceremony, and all of this kind of stuff. And it got very intense. It was like very much every minute of the day, have you done this, have you done this, have you done this? And then she wanted a lawyer involved because the university hadn't provided security, and it was just getting bizarre, right? So I'm thinking, this is just really strange. But every time we got to money, every time we got to, if it was a pay later, she'd sign up. If it was a pay now, it'd be like, no. And then I started to think, this isn't right. No, something's really wrong. And then a few times she'd asked if I'd use my card details, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the company in question, or the company that was employing me, I contacted them and said, I'm really worried about this. I really don't think she's who she's saying she is. And there were high-profile people going to be attending the graduation, and now she was getting me to be the conduit between her and the university to make sure her mum and dad, the king and queen, were going to meet these high-flying people that were coming to the university and all of this. So in the end, I thought, I've got to take matters into my own hand, because I'd actually used my contacts and people I knew, like a photographer, that could come, and I was thinking, what if she doesn't pay? So I contacted the university. It was the day before the graduation. It got so weird that I just no longer believed this was legitimate. So I rang somebody in the university, and they said, oh my God, we've had an emergency meeting this morning and we don't believe it either. And yet she'd been at that university under this princess title for about 4 years. So, and no one had known. And it turns out she definitely wasn't who she was saying she was, and it was all, not real at all. And so we had to pull the plug on all of these different companies that were involved. I mean, the police were involved because she wanted armoured car and people holding guns, so then the police have to be... It just got... That's got to be the craziest thing that I've ever dealt with.
I wasn't expecting that to take down
that was weird.
My goodness. I could never, ever have guessed what you were about to say.
It's strange, yeah, it's strange. And sometimes, especially because VAs are predominantly female, not all female, but predominantly, you will occasionally get men who call and they say they want this services and they don't sign up, and then they keep calling. So that's another one you have to watch out for as well.
So what services are they asking for?
They'll just talk about they run a business.
Oh, okay.
They won't say not anything else. I think it's just to talk to somebody. I don't know. So
we get lonely as men.
Oh, obviously, I can tell. But so that's got to be the weirdest. But there's some weird things that happen sometimes.
To be fair, I could imagine you pretending you're a princess.
You could actually.
And L.T VA, the fake heiress.
Yeah, you could
kind
do.
of similar story to that, isn't it?
Who's that?
Did you not hear about this?
No.
Almost the exact same thing.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Pretending to be someone she
Really?
wasn't. Yeah, took it a little bit further than a graduation.
I didn't know any of that.
Siphoned millions, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to go into business.
New business model. If you see me and I'm saying I'm a princess, just go with it.
Paragon
because I'll give you a cut.
But it's easy to be scammed in business, isn't it? Isn't it, Ria?
Yeah.
It's very easy to be scammed.
Oh, we're picking on Ria.
There is a whole story that has been shared on this podcast many times.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera to
Okay.
all the audience. But just remember, if anyone emails you asking for you to buy gift cards, just say,
Oh, I've heard this scam. Really?
Yeah,
It's
so it's
happened
Ria.
to you?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the funny thing is everyone's heard of it, haven't they, Ria?
Apart from Ria.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Short story, quick, long story short. Ria had gone missing. No one knew where she was. We called her up. She was in Tesco, going, "What do you mean, where am I? I'm at Tesco buying the gift cards that you wanted me to." How much? 500 quid?
Did you buy them?
Yeah.
Oh God.
But luckily, whether it was fate, the universe, whatever, I'd literally called her just so she'd bought them,
Yeah.
but not scratched off and sent them on to the scammer.
Did you get a refund? Oh, thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've heard of it now, so that's the good thing.
The Prince of Nigeria emails you directly asking for help.
You help.
Oh no.
Exactly.
That's awful. Scary.
So I guess just to kind of round things off a little bit, if there was one thing that you could change, and you've kind of covered it off in a lot of things, if you could kind of go back onto that day one, and let's focus on L.T VA side of things. If you could, day one, you could do something different, what would it be?
Well, with this particular business, I think I've done everything right. I don't think I would.
You heard it here. Heard it here first.
I really do, and I've swallowed my own medicine. I have my own assistant. I've delegated as soon as I possibly could, and that's, I think, if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here with a team of 9 people less than 3 years in. So I don't think there's anything really that I would change, to be honest. It's all about trusting people. I didn't start outsourcing sales calls until I was in Southeast Asia travelling because 1 o'clock in the morning calls are pretty difficult. but it gave me the nudge I needed, because you still, no matter, even me, you still hold on to things. You still find it difficult. So it is about building up that trust and knowing actually you're not always the best person for the job, and letting somebody else. And you've said this today, that you very much allow your team to be their own people. And I think that's a fundamental thing, not to micromanage. People can do things, they don't have to do them your way, doesn't mean it's the wrong way, and letting them have a go. And actually you'll find that there's massive benefit in that. If I could go back to Laundry Ladies, I'd change everything. Absolutely everything. I would definitely have taken on help, and once I'd have got that Prince's Trust grant, I think I would have been able to then, use it the way it was meant to be used. Which I think I always do think back, where could I have gone had I done things differently with that business?
Yeah.
So no regret, but because I've learned everything that I needed to know, but I often wonder how big it could have gone.
Yeah.
So that's a shame.
It's all part of the journey to where you are now.
It's all part of the journey, yeah. If you don't make mistakes, you can't learn, you can't grow.
Exactly. It's the best bit about learning. Have you got any final questions?
Oh, one final question. Nothing about business.
Yeah.
For our travellers that are listening, and for myself, favourite place that you've been in?
Japan.
To travel?
Japan, hands down. It was all our favourites. It's amazing. Highly recommend it. I think every country in the world could take a leaf out of Japan's book, and I'm sure there's things they do wrong, but they do so much right. So, fantastic. Go there if you've never been, go.
Soon, not now. But no, thanks so much for today.
You're welcome.
Thank you for everything. For those that want to reach out to you, that are thinking about outsourcing or just want to kind of explore that, how can people contact you? How's best to reach out?
So they can find us online, ltvaservices.com, or on Instagram, L.T VA Services, or you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, Lisa Tennant, L.T VA Services.
Perfect. But no, thanks so much for coming in. We'll make sure we drop some of those links below as well, so people can reach out to you. But thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. My hands are so cold.
Oh, they're lovely. They're lovely.
Thank you.
Who's doing the wrap up? Did we say, was it me or you?
It's you.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to hand out with you in there as well. I'll figure it out. But thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. Before you do anything else, just look down below, hit that subscribe button, give it a comment. Even if you can't think of anything to say, just drop an emoji in and give it a like. Share it with your friends, your colleagues, your neighbours and everything else. I've been Rob Spence.
I've been Sophia Grace.
And we still are Sophia Grace and Rob Spence. And until next time, all the best. You're taking the lead on this, not me.
I know.
I'm just a side chick.
Okay, are we cool to go?
I think so. Are you happy?
Yeah, happy.
You happy, Moles?
Yep.
Always the way.
No, you take the lead. You've got this. You've got this.
Okay,
Whenever you're ready.
I don't add pressure to me.
But now, how many times have I said this is the worst bit?
Yeah.
So many times.
Getting myself together.
No, it's okay. Take your time. I'm in no rush.